Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Racks and Razors Radio. Thank you for coming back to Racks and Razors Radio. This is our first video podcast, and we're going to be featuring music from the Bloody Jug Band. I'm Derek Young, the producer of the show, and this is the host with the most, Greg Russell Titterington.
Yes, so this is our first video show. I know it's been a year since we did the last show. I hope we get to do more. I'm
sorry about that, Greg. Things have been kind of hectic and crazy over on this end.
Yeah.
Working on all kinds of different things with releasing movies and all that good stuff, which I haven't got to tell you yet, but I figured this would be a good time to tell you. Sweet 18, you know, we're working on getting it out come February 18th of 2026. Just got licensed by Apple TV. So Sweet 18 will be on Apple TV come February 18th of 2026.
I was going to ask you, what about your other films like Psychotic State, The Wright Family?
All right, so The Wright Family is probably going to be coming later in the year next year.
Later in the year next. Oh, okay. Why?
Psychotic State. I'm working on everything for it now to try and get it released by Christmas. And Family Property 2, More Blood, is out, but right now it's only on a couple Roku channels. Working on getting everything together for DVD for it, and we're working on trying to get it on a couple more streaming platforms. But yeah, everything's starting to come together with the movies being out. So
okay, and now there was a film we did that I did in my apartment in Vancouver. A film called Total Lockdown. Is there any news on that?
I am actually currently getting ready to get all of the footage back from the person that was supposed to be editing. Things have came about to where they're not going to be able to get it done. So once I get that from them and get it edited, then we'll start working on getting it released.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've been, my site is a little behind on stuff, but I'm trying to get as much as I can done. So let's tell us what we're going to have. We're going to have the new movie review, which is Final Destination Bloodlines, which was filmed in my area of Vancouver. And we have an interview by indie horror director, which is Ron Ford.
Legendary indie horror director.
Yeah.
Ron Ford. And we're going to have the news, which it's the main, the way the show is going to break down. We're going to do the review, we're going to have the news, and then we'll have the interview at the end, so that everybody can enjoy that. And if you don't want to sit through the whole deal, you know where to jump to in order to be able to get the parts that you want. If you're just wanting to go straight to the interview, then you'll know when to hit there, because it'll be broken up into three parts with breaks and all that good stuff. So first, let's go into the movie review for a movie that I was so happy to see and loved so much the things that they did with it, and we're going to start talking about it. But that's Final Destination Bloodlines. Yes, it's been out for a while, but this is going to be our take on what we thought when we got to watch the movie.
Okay. Now, the Final Destination Bloodlines, I was wondering at first if it was a true sequel or not. It shows the 1960s. They go up on a high tower in the beginning. I mean, anyone who's afraid of heights will be scared of this. I'm scared of heights myself. And the CGI effects, I gotta tell you, it needed a little bit of improvement there. What do you think, Derek?
I'm not a fan of CGI.
Okay.
unless it's used properly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, there could have been some more Christmas to it, but at the same point, it put forth what it needed to. Um, the entire setup and scene, uh, I was. It's funny because when I started watching it, I was like you, is this going to be a true sequel? And the minute that scene started, I looked to the people that were in the theater with me, that went with me, and I said, they're getting ready to wrap the entire movie franchise up into a nutshell. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so glad that I was right about that, because it literally showcases the entire reason for everything that has happened through the whole franchise.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and you know, the main character, Stephanie Reyes, you know, awakens from the nightmare of this, and you know, tries to find out about her nightmares. Which there's other scenes that you kind of have a feeling that somebody's gonna have a deadly accident too. Like in, you know, everything else. It's been a while since I watched the movie, but I remember she goes to her mother's house, which is in the middle of nowhere, and she says, "Aha! You try to trick me." And you know, they try. There's objects that try to make her deaf, and she tries to beat them, which kept me watching carefully of what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's actually a little further into the movie. Um, the thing that I'm going to say this: the special effects that they pulled off with this, especially the scene where they had dude in the hospital and he got sucked into the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, talking about freaking you out, I literally had set up where I had to go do that like 2 weeks after watching the movie for my back, right? I did not want to go after seeing it.
Uh-huh.
That freaked me out, man, because that was just like way too realistic of what could happen if somebody screws up and hits the wrong buttons. I mean, it's just a little unedging. But, you know, the way that they played off in the movie, where they literally were trying to figure out the whole deal, the same as in every movie, every one of the movies, where they're trying to figure out who's going to be next and how they're going to do this and how they're going to beat death. And I mean, the setups for some of the deaths and how things jumped around, and how, you know, the girl thought she knew exactly who was next, but it was somebody else. The way that they did everything just kept you on edge through the movie, and it made it so entertaining.
Mm-hmm. So, do you remember that scene of the barbecue when people are doing a pound?
Yeah, that dude, the glass, the piece of glass inside of the, you know, deal, and the way that the lawnmower scene was done, man, that's what I'm saying, dude. The special effects for this setup, spot on. I absolutely loved every bit of it.
Yeah, the accidents look cleverly done. So.
Oh yeah, the entire storyline was great. You know, I'll tell you, my favorite thing from the movie though was the way they, you know, utilized the Tony Todd's speech, man.
Yeah.
Being somebody that's been able to interview Tony and meet him on several occasions. Hearing his speech and seeing that scene not only made me joyful for how they paid homage to him, but it broke me down. I was in tears in the middle of the theater because he was just such an amazing actor, an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Being, it's one of those things. When you kind of know the person some, and you're seeing them on screen, and then they've passed away, and you've got to meet them, it'll hit you in the gut. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that did that to me because Tony was just a class act all the way around.
Oh, totally.
And one of my favorite actors of all time.
Oh, nice. Yeah, do you remember it makes you watch carefully in other scenes, like with the garbage truck appearing and stuff like that, doing certain things, which is a drawing card to deadly accident. And this is another thing that grabs your attention, thinking, who's going to be next?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, man. Every little shot that they did, every little aspect of how they had different things come into play, it all kept you on edge, trying to figure out who's next, what's next, and how's it going to go, right?
Yeah.
And that made it very, very entertaining.
Mm-hmm. It was a well-done flick.
Probably, I would have to say that the way that they wrapped up Final Destination with that movie being the sequels before it and the way that it was done,
mm-hmm.
You always have the franchises where sequels get worse as it goes, and I think this was one of the best of the sequels for Final Destination. So I
thought the first one was always the best, though.
Oh yeah, the first one's phenomenal, right? And can't be beat. But the way that they held strong for this one and kind of tried to stay at the bar that the first one made, I think it's going to make it one of my top franchises in the horror genre.
Yeah. But it seems to pay tribute to the first two flicks that happens on a deadly accident and good explanations to everything of this film. Yeah. Some of the killings seem to borrow from Sleepaway Camp 3, believe it or not. So.
Yeah, actually, I noticed that. I friggin' loved it. Being a huge fan of Sleepaway Camp and it being one of my favorite probably in my top 2 of horror franchises, right?
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved seeing those deals. The way that they did this, it showcased. I literally could feel how much the director loves horror films watching this, right? And it's just awesome to see, man, because Hollywood has done horror wrong so many times, and the fact that they finally have kind of done it a little right made me smile.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. Here. Sorry, there's a garbage truck. Speaking of garbage trucks that's making noise, so I wanted to drown out the sound, so I had to close the door. The very ending was great with the train coming off the rails. You don't see that every day.
No, you don't. And I'll tell you this, dude. There were certain scenes in this that I didn't see coming, right? Like the way that they changed up when they thought the dude was when they made you think the guy was gonna die in the tattoo parlor and he didn't, right? It's kind of it was kind of cool to finally have some stuff too that wasn't predictable. All right, it it made for a very good watch, and I'm very glad I got to go see that in theaters.
Mm-hmm. So, should we give it a rating now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and rate it out.
I give it 3 bats.
I am going to what? How many are we on? 1 out of what?
A bomb out of 4.
Out of 4. So I'm going to give it 4 bats.
All right. So coming up next is some music videos and some news.
Oh, well, we'll be right back after taking a little break, and hopefully you guys are ready for a little bit more fun here just a little bit on Racks and Razors Radio.
I knew you were the perfect choice from the first time you came around. So later on when I took your breath, I was hesitant to put you in the ground. Propped you up, put makeup on, put you in a pretty blue dress. Had to make sure you stood out from all the rest. Knew you'd make, knew you'd make, I knew you'd make a beautiful corpse. Knew you'd make, knew you'd make, I knew you'd make a beautiful corpse. I knew you'd make a beautiful corpse as I saw you sitting at the bar. Looked like you were tears in your eyes, someone had pushed you a little too far. Walked up, said hello, asked if I could help. It's when I got a whiff of your perfume, can't even tell you what I felt. Knew you'd make, knew you'd make, I knew you'd make a beautiful corpse. Knew you'd make, knew you'd make, I knew you'd make a beautiful corpse, an exquisite corpse. I knew you'd make a beautiful corpse as I saw you strutting across that empty street. Smiling, waving, I called your sweet names, but you refused our eyes to meet. Oh, what beauty in your panic run. Oh, the fun has just begun. Hush now, baby, don't you cry. It's time for your final lullaby. Knew you'd make, I knew you'd make, I knew you'd make a beautiful corpse. I knew you'd make, I knew you'd make, I knew you'd make a beautiful corpse, an exquisite corpse.
Okay.
Welcome back to Racks and Razors Radio with a little bit of news.
Okay. The news, one of the news I'd like to report is Thanksgiving 2 is coming out, as well as a remake to the 1984 cult classic controversial Santa slasher film, Silent Night, Deadly Night. And I think it's getting a limited theatrical release, that one. And I hope it'll play in one of my theaters when I go see it. I was thinking for our next video show, we should review that movie.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. So I hope it does play in my city, and that's what I'm wondering. And it's being shot here in not in Vancouver, but in Canada. It was shot.
All right. Well, Greg, I got a little bit of news you'll be happy to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So, today, Tubi announced that they're launching the Body Bag collection for horror content.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a hub of cult classics, deep-cut slashers, and serial killer thrillers for horror fans. The free streaming service says that horror is consistently one of the most watched genres on the platform. And with over 8,000 titles in their category, there's something for every fan. They've curated it all into collections like Neighborhood Nightmares, satirical horror, found footage, and Scream Queens and Final Girls.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
There's going to be a nice little hub on Tubi now just for horror fans. So go check out the Body Bag collection as it drops out of Tubi, which is great. So that's as of today, October 15th, when we're filming this. Of course, this is going to be launched in time for Halloween, so if you guys are hearing this now, go ahead and check that out if you didn't already know that little bit of news.
Oh.
They have released the first look at Witchcraft 18, The Lantern of Light. Andrew Pearson returns as William Spanner. They have also put out the stuff, nice little piece for Rebirth, the Satanic Panic, and released the official trailer for Melonhead's House of Crows.
Okay.
That being said, few good little tidbits back to horror, which is kind of funny because weren't we just Witchcraft 18 going to be coming in?
I don't know if it was Witchcraft 18. It's Witchcraft IX. I have a hard time with those numbers.
There's XV1111, which is 18.
Wow, that's a lot of sequels.
Yeah. So, Witchcraft 18. Nice little kick in there. But anyhow, other than that, there's always good horror news out there. If you want to go find a lot of great horror news, go check out the Horror News Network. They'll throw you out some great horror news. And from time to time, we will be picking up stuff and throwing it out to you as well. But those guys are really great for staying on top of everything. And as far as all of the new horror films and stuff that's coming out. So check out horrornews.net if you want to go check those guys out. They have some great things that they put up.
Okay, so this is the news, and up next is our interview with who has been well known for doing horror anthologies, Ron Ford.
Alrighty, so after the break, we will be right back with our interview.
was a teenage misfit, riff-raff raised on the skids. A high school reject who didn't do what everyone did. Stayed out all night, and then I saw the lights on the twin. Then I snuck right in through the back fence. Every Friday we were cruising on Elm Street, watching the Lost Boys fight with the meddling kids. Or a double feature, I'm not alone. Chucky's in the backseat, Mike buys up on the screen. Life is a creep show, living with the evil dead. We're waiting for Georgie to come back home. To come back home. She was a beauty school dropout who never seemed to fit in the scene. Ripped up fishnets and black leather boots to her knees. We danced all night and then she wrung the right out of me. But I never really knew what her face meant. Every Friday we were cruising on Elm Street, watching the Lost Boys fight with the meddling kids. Or a double feature, I'm not alone. Chucky's in the backseat, Mike Myers up on the screen. Life is a creep show, living with the evil dead. We're waiting for Georgie to come back home. Every Friday we're cruising on Elm Street, watching the Lost Boys fight with the meddling kids. Or a double feature, I'm not alone. Come on, sing along. Chucky's in the backseat, Mike Myers up on the screen. Life is a creep show, living with the evil dead. We're waiting for Georgie to come back home. Come home, Georgie. Every Friday we were cruising on Elm Street, watching the Lost Boys fight with the meddling kids. Or a double feature, I'm not alone. Chucky's in the backseat, Mike Myers up on the screen. Life is a creep show, living with the evil dead. We're waiting for Georgie to come back home. To come back home.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Racks and Razors Radio. I'm Derek Young, and we have the host with the most, Greg Russell Titterington, and we're here today with a very amazing filmmaker who has been making films since the VHS era, Mr. Ron Ford.
I'd like to talk to you about, first about your Deadly Tales anthology and go with other stuff too.
Alrighty. The first release, it was called Dead Time Tales. It made it, it was supposed to be part of the Thing series that David Sterling owned. So he was producing the film. But I paid him for the title, to use the title. Time I got to the film finish and went to the distributor, which was Dead Alive out of near Phoenix, Arizona. I can't think of the name of the town offhand, but anyway, Dead Alive releasing, and they released it as Dead Time Tales because they said the Thing series had kind of played out as far as box office. They wanted to go a different direction, but my idea was I wanted to adapt three classic stories of literature, that I enjoyed reading. So we adapted The Crystal Egg by H.G. Wells. The Transformation by Mary Shelley, and Mark of the Beast by Rudyard Kipling. They were all modernized, set in a contemporary setting. Crystal Egg, it also was the wraparound segment about a guy who has a bad marriage. He's henpecked by his very overbearing wife. They own an antique store, and he gets a shipment of antiques from the Rooney estate, which was a guy who turned out to be a serial killer. So his stuff's all cursed. So I've gotten a lot of flack about that because it's the same concept as Friday the 13th, the TV series. But anyway, so he gets in each one of these antiques, it goes off into another direction to tell the other stories. But like I say, it also became the crystal egg story, because one of the things in the box is a crystal egg, and he becomes obsessed with it because when he stares into it, he can see this landscape of an alien planet and a creature there.
Great. Yeah.
I changed the story so it has a nice horrific ending, which it didn't in the story. The creature actually comes, and transports itself through the crystal. And
nice.
That's the alien at the end, which kills him. The Mark of the Beast was the Kipling story about these three colonial soldiers, British soldiers, who desecrate one of their sacred idols. And so the medicine man, whatever they call him, the shaman, he curses the guy who defaced his statue with the Mark of the Beast, which he becomes like an animal. In my version, he actually becomes an animal. He becomes a werewolf. We made him a gangster, and that one was kind of played for laughs. It's the only one in the series, in the anthology that was. Then the third one was my brain. The Transformation by Mary Shelley. In that story, there's a man on his wedding night, and this ugly dwarf, this huge-formed dwarf, comes to him and makes a bargain with him to trade bodies with him for one day. But then he doesn't come back to give him back his body after a day. In my version, he's a guy who's engaged and about to get married, and he's obsessed with erotica. He finds this erotic postcard, and the woman in it, who's wearing a mask and has a whip, an S&M woman, she actually comes out of the card and trades places with him, and winds up murdering his fiancée and her whole family that he gets blamed for. So,
great.
That's also a short story in my collection, my book, Twisted Yarns of Various Lengths. There's a story in it called Bestiality. No, I called it Cold Feet in the short story, but it's based on that same story.
Oh, nice. Oh, now this went to, it was well rented, I hear, back in the days when there was rentals.
Yeah, it's one of the better release ones I had. Like I say, Dead Alive released it as Dead Time Tales. Later on, SOB Horror picked it up and released it as Dead Time Tales again. David Sterling has reissued it as Sterling Entertainment as its original title, Things 3, Old Things. And then I sold the rights to it to Joe Pinkerton, Blood Banquet Studios, a few years ago, and he released it as Deadly Tales. And then he's made a couple of sequels to that, but I had nothing to do with part 2 or 3.
Oh, okay. Now I want to hear about, is it Witchcraft 19, Sisters in Blood?
Witchcraft 11.
11, okay. I want to hear about that, your work on it and everything that you did on that.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to do part 12, but it's because I would call it Witchcraft 12, the Witching Hour. But anyway, it was 11. What happened was I was doing some things for a couple films for Jerry Pfeiffer at Vista Street Entertainment. And he was the guy who was behind all of the Witchcraft movies. It's the longest running franchise in horror. Jerry passed away just about a month ago. He was a nice old guy. Anyway, so I made a bargain with him. He had this really impossible project to do called Turburator. He had these Korean investors who wanted to make a movie about a female Terminator who collects DNA from different men to repopulate their planet. And they were going to actually extract special effects right out of Terminator and use them in this movie because they don't care about copyright laws in Korea. But anyway, so it was a pretty impossible challenge. I had a lot of nudity. I had to get a lot of women who were willing to take their clothes off, a lot of locations. It was difficult. I really crammed on that one, and anyway, I completed it. He was thrilled with it, and so as a reward, he promised me I'd get to do the next witchcraft movie, and I told him I want to shoot it on film. It's to date the only movie I've made on film that's been released. All the rest are shot on video. Sorry about that. Where was I? So okay, I watched a bunch of the witchcraft movies. There wasn't a lot of continuity between them. There was a character, the warlock Will Spanner, is in some, but not all of them. And some of them, in fact, a lot of them aren't even about witches. They're about vampires and different kinds of things. Several of them are vampire movies. I wanted to go back to the origin, make it a witch movie. So, being the theater guy that I am, I do a lot of theater acting and directing, and so I had it as a drama instructor at college who's practicing black magic, and he does a production of Macbeth. And the three girls he hires as the witches, he uses them as vessels to resurrect these three witch sisters who were buried on the grounds of the campus. And horror ensues. It was a fun shoot, a fun movie. I don't know if it's a good movie, but I think it's one of the best of the witchcraft movies. It's certainly one of the more literate ones as far as the writing. I just played a cameo in that one. We had a lot of good actors. Don Donison, who's that's not his real name. He's known for other stuff in genre, and I can't think of his real name right now. But he's kind of a name. I auditioned everybody. Even auditioned Joe Pantoliano, I think, who was the bad guy in Day of the Dead, and I didn't cast him because I didn't like his performance. But anyway, so we shot that all around Los Angeles for the college. I used theater in Simi Valley where I had done some plays, which was a converted old church, and it worked very well as the campus also. So we shot that part there. I had Nita Page in it, the old silent movie star. And it's done very well for me. One sad thing about it was the special effects makeup. The guy named Steve, I can't remember his last name, it's been so long ago, but when the witches are in their true form, they're kind of decomposed, creepy looking things before they possess these girls. And Steve just whipped out this incredible makeup with stuff he had. He played the witches one of the witches in a lot of the scenes. And yeah, he's really imaginative young kid. He committed suicide right after we finished shooting.
Terrible.
Never got to see it. But we dedicated the film to him.
Oh, nice. That's good. Now it was well known, the witchcraft movies in rental stores back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna actually ask you, a film you said you cherish the most is your work on Hollywood Mortuary.
That's my baby.
Tell us about it and your experience.
Okay, Hollywood Mortuary started as Kevin Lindemuth he made Vampires and Other Stereotypes, and he made this on video, in his backyard practically, and it was distributed and got it in Blockbuster and everything. And that I was so impressed. I wrote to the guy and befriended him, and later on kind of followed in his footsteps. Later on he was making an anthology called Creature Realm from the Dead, and asked me to make one of the shorts for it. It had 3 horror stories in it. And so Randall Malone he passed away last year, but he's a really large actor who a lot of people really like him. I mean, he's in a lot of cheap micro budget horror films. We were really good friends. So we were brainstorming about this, and he's like, Ron, I want to do a picture called Hollywood Mortuary. And then he proceeded to tell me a story, which I recognized immediately as the Incredible Dr. Marcusson, which is an episode from the old Boris Karloff thriller series. And so I told him, well, we're not going to do that story, but we'll use that title because I think that's a badass title. So anyway, it's about a makeup artist in 1941, based on, his name was Pierce Jackson Dawn, kind of based on two of my favorite old makeup artists, Jack Pierce and Jack Dawn. And he's like this arrogant recluse, but he does these fantastic monsters. And then the studio decides to drop their agenda of horror pictures and then make true life dramas, things ripped from the headlines, as he says. But then, so he's out of a job. So he takes a job at a mortuary, patching up corpses. And one of the corpses that come in is Pratt Borokoff, based on Boris Karloff character, and then he goes and digs up the Janos Blasko character I played, who is based on Bela Lugosi, and he resurrects them both with some black magic and sends them on a killing spree through Hollywood in order to create headlines for a real story that the studio can then make a movie out of, and he'll be able to do the special effects for it. It's a silly and convoluted concept of it. I think it really works in this movie because it's kind of a silly movie. We shot it in the original short was in black and white to make it look like it was 1941. We had some. All this stuff is framed with interviews of real people, like it was a mockumentary, like they really knew Pierce Jackson Dawn. They had Margaret O'Brien, Oscar-winning child actress, Anita Page, David Dakota, movie director, and gosh, why am I spacing on his name? Conrad Brooks from the Ed Wood movies. They all play themselves in interview segments. So it was part of the Dead Time Tales, Creature Realms film, and then I love the story. It just really worked for me, and so Kevin got the rights for a year, and then I could make whatever I wanted out of it, and we went and shot a bunch of new stuff, and reshot some things, and turned it into a feature film, and that's kind of my calling card. It's what most people know me for. And later on, I wrote a novel of it, which expands the story even more. That's available on Amazon. And we're working on a graphic novel version right now. Me and a guy named Zach Keene in New Mexico is the artist. And that's we're getting pretty close to being done with that. Still looking for a publisher. If anybody has any leads.
I wish you the best for doing that one. That sounds. I love reading horror novels.
So, Greg, I came up with a wonderful question for Ron. So, Ron, being a filmmaker that has been around for pretty much every era of filmmaking.
Well, okay, not the silence.
Not the silence, but I'm saying, with film, video, and how everything's been with VHS, DVD, and streaming, right?
Yeah.
How does it feel knowing that you have movies that have spanned across each one of those?
It feels amazing. I thought these things were, be forgotten, but all the time I have people asking me for where they can get copies of my old movies, and I've gotten the ones that I still own. I've gotten them reissued. Places like Vinegar Syndrome and Wild Eye Releasing, they're getting all these stuff from the 90s. And reissuing it in newly mastered versions, and so I'm negotiating to try and get Hollywood Mortuary reissued, but it's owned by Randall Malone's partner. We're good friends, but I don't know, he's dragging his feet. But hopefully it'll be out again soon. A lot of my old films have come back out. It's pretty amazing that there are people telling me that this movie was the one that made them love the genre and stuff, and it's like it made a real impact on people, and that surprised me because they're really low budget movies.
Yeah, great.
You surely have built a legacy, so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I was going to ask you about, there's a movie that caught my attention called The Crawling Brain. Is that dedicated to those old school movies like The Blob and stuff like that?
Yeah, it sure is. My idea was, they had in the 50s, they had a crawling hand and a crawling eye, but nobody did a crawling brain. I mean, there was a Fiend Without a Face. It's about crawling brains, but it's not called that. So I'd always wanted to make a movie called The Crawling Brain. And I worked with this guy named William Combs. He wanted to produce movies. He was a big fan of Hollywood Mortuary. He wanted to make a movie with Randall Malone in it that I wrote and directed. So I brought out that old idea, The Crawling Brain. And to date, it's probably was my second favorite feature of all the films I've made. It works really well. I've just turned it into a novel also. It's about to be published as part of a collection called Hollywood is Dead. But Christopher Bergschneider, who's a really good makeup effects guy, who's been working on a lot of big movies. He's been a friend of mine forever. He did the effects in it, which are quite good. And what can I tell you? It has a lot of nudity and gore in it too. But that was I figured if they didn't have censorship restrictions in the 50s, that's what they would have done, because they were playing to young people. But yeah, I was definitely inspired by those films. In fact, the music score, I was really lucky. My friend Ted Newsom was working for Perma Productions at the time, and they had all the catalog of Ronald Stein music from all the Roger Corman movies. Not just Roger Corman. I mean, he scored tons of these old movies in the 50s. So we were able to license that music for very cheap. So it sounds like a 1950s movie. It's got snips of music from Spider Baby and from Fiend Without a Face. And It Conquered the World.
Oh, nice.
So none of it was written originally for that movie, but it's just the right tone for it.
Did it get good feedback?
Yeah, people seem to like that one. There was one guy in Canada who was doing a class on different eras of film, and when we got to the 50s, he showed The Blob and he showed Crawling Brain, which.
Oh, nice. So it's a double feature, which is cool.
Yeah, but he thought it was just a quintessential 50s monster movie, even though it was made in the 90s, or 2000s actually. It was like 2001, I think, it came out. But anyway, that was quite a good ego boost. he thought it was such a quintessential distillment of those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now another film, horror grindhouse double feature. I wanted to know. I was curious about that one. It sounds like it would be a party type horror flick.
Oh, that was when Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez had there was Death Proof and Planet Terror, and they put them together and called it a grindhouse production. So I was playing off of that, since that was popular then. And it was just a couple of shorts that I made, not thinking to put them in this anthology. One was called The Road. It was a zombie movie full of special effects for a no-budget film. It's still one of my favorite short films. And a vampire movie that my lawyer, he did my divorce for me, and so he said as his fee, he wanted me to make his vampire script into a movie. So we did. We had a little vampire script. We got the guy who played Captain Marvel on TV.
Okay.
In the 70s, he played the vampire in it, and anyway, it was a silly, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, and short film made for very little money.
Oh.
But so it was my friend who was releasing it, Jermaine Bill. We packaged them together and called it horror grind show double feature.
Oh, nice.
To capitalize on Quentin Tarantino's films.
Now I understand you did a movie. I think it was by Full Moon Pictures called Tiki.
Yeah, it wasn't Full Moon. It was for Fred Olen Ray, American Independent Retro Media.
Well, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, well, that was an amazing stroke of luck. Fred and I were friendly. When I was in L.A., he put me in a couple of his movies. I'm in Bikini Frankenstein and a couple others. But anyway, when I moved to Spokane, Washington, he contacted me and said, I have this idea for a horror film, and I want it to be made outside of Hollywood, because he thought people would steal the idea if they heard that it was being made. He thought it was such a high concept idea. But it was about a tiki doll. It's kind of playing off of the Full Moon movies, the Puppet Masters. More inspiration for it was the Karen Black, Dan Curtis thing. Gosh, my brain's fried. Trilogy of Terror. There's the Tiki Doll segment that everybody remembers. Yeah. So, anyway, he's kind of like that.
Okay.
But so I was in Spokane, and I used all the students and the drama students at the college here for my actors. Became very good friends with most of them. The idea, well, he had the idea that this girl's going to college for the first time, and her aunt, who's into black magic, slips this doll into her suitcase, and later when she gets bullied, the doll comes alive and gets revenge on all the kids. She gets
almost like Puppet Master.
Kind of, yeah. She goes into a coma. So after she's unconscious, the thing comes alive and kills her. We have each one killed off according to different quirks that they had. One girl was always complaining about how much perfume she was wearing. So the tiki doll comes into her bathroom and takes a perfume bottle and shoves it down her throat and starts stomping on top of it and chokes her to death and stuff like that. There was another girl who just would not shut up, so he tears out her tongue, stuff like that. It's a fun little movie. Fred really liked it. He said it didn't make enough to justify a sequel, but he was happy with what we did. That was another one. It's happened several times in my career where the film, it's hard to judge the length of the thing from the script. So the film turned out too short, so I had to come up with new stuff to lengthen it. We had a wraparound scene, which turned out to be...
Was this a horror anthology? Was this a horror anthology, or was it a...
No, it's not an anthology. It's a feature-length film.
Okay.
So I came up with a wraparound story where one of the women... one of the girls who's attacked by the thing she survives, and she tells the story to her psychiatrist.
Nice.
We had a new ending for it called where the Tiki comes to her hospital room and scalps her whole face. She's like obsessed with the hair. She's always brushing her hair. But that scene, I mean, we didn't exactly know how to end it. I had a guy, Mitch Tyner, did my effects and a lot of my films. He was a really good friend of mine. He's also passed away a couple years ago. But
I'm sorry.
Thanks. But he brought in a box of stuff, a whole kit, and just threw things together. We had a plastic skull and an eyeball moving around and her tongue going. It was a fantastic effect. It's the last thing in the movie. And Tiki's a good one.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you did a found footage horror film called Game Camera.
Yeah, that's on Tubi.
Nice.
It's about these three hunters who go up into the woods and they find a camp that's been, well, first off they have a game camera that they sets up to find deer, and then they kept a monster just killing a deer on the game camera, and so the leader of the group, who thinks he's all that, said, we're gonna go kill this monster. So anyway, eventually it's realized that there's a chemical agent on the mountain that was a terrorist bomb that agent that anyone that goes up in there gets slowly transformed into these creatures. So
cool.
All three of them become this monster, and then they're hunting each other by the end. Originally it was kind of convoluted. It was too long, but the distributor who put it on Tubi they cut it down and made it work. It's a much better cut this way. I think it's it's a pretty solid little movie now, and we all got to kind of play ourselves, just heightened versions of ourselves, and the acting's pretty good in it, I think.
I understand you have some upcoming horror films. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, sure. Upcoming, I've got a couple anthologies that are just SR. Well, one of them's out already. SRS Video released Edge of Chaos, which was 3 of my science fiction short films. I shot another story for it for Wraparound, and that's my favorite anthology of the ones I've made. I think they're all pretty solid little films. That's already out. One coming out from Wild Eye Releasing, Visual Vengeance. They're French company they use for shot on video stuff. It's called Igoro's Nightmare Theater. Igoro is a horror host that you find on the internet. He's a good friend of mine, Mark Pinkney, and he kind of hosts all these 3 films. One of them is mine, Trigger Finger, which is my version of the Monkey's Paw, and then I got 3 other films from friends of mine that I like quite a bit, and they're in there too. And Mark does his little Igoro thing to introduce them all.
Yeah.
They're all horror films.
Oh, cool. They're all horror films then?
Yeah, it's a horror anthology.
Nice. Yeah, and I would have gotten into Amityverse. I was curious about that, but I think, do we have one more? Can we ask one more question, Derek? Or
Yeah, shoot for it.
Amityverse, is it like Amityville?
Yeah, it's a bunch of it's something that Ron Bonk put together. He asked a lot of filmmakers to make a short film for it. I made one called Amityville Murder Hammer. We shot shot it in one day. It's not my most stellar work, I don't think, but anyway, it's about to come out soon. And I have no idea what the other ones are in it. They're different filmmakers.
Yeah. Well, you gave us a lot of great information. I want to thank you so much for participating in this show.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, and good luck with your future films.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
You have a great day.
Got hemmed up on a terrible crime. Gave me the chair without wasting time. Went to hell, met the man in charge. Was worse than I thought.
Well, that wraps up our show for this show, our very first video show. We'd like to thank everyone for participating in the show and watching our show. We hope to have more done soon. So we wish you all a good, I don't know, good night or whenever you watch this.
Well, I hope you have a happy Halloween or whatever holiday you catch it on. I want to thank you here from Racks and Razors Radio, and we will see you again in the future.